Hey everyone, Shorupan here. I am making this video to do a live demonstration as to how the GX markets function, how you can interact with them, and more importantly, how someone that doesn't know much about the crypto space can learn and leverage this cryptocurrency. Now, if you've been following the updates that we have been putting out both on YouTube and some other platforms, you would know that we have switched our GX markets, which is our proprietary money market protocol, onto the mainnet. And it's actually been taking some transactions. So this is going to be the first live video demonstration. We're going to put a screen in this video to show you exactly what I'm about to do on my laptop. And I'm going to do a transaction test between two different parties as if I'm the lender and the borrower on the GX markets. And so I'll have two browsers open, and I hope you guys enjoy watching this, because it's quite a momentous thing to see a completely decentralized lending protocol like this. So the first thing that you'll notice is that I have this browser, which is like saved to shorupan@gmail.com. It's completely fresh. It already has MetaMask installed, as well as the Invest wallet. In this case, I'm going to be using MetaMask. So this wallet has some $10 US in it, which is great. We're going to be using that to supply. And then I have another browser, which is this browser that also has MetaMask installed with $19 and has Invest Wallet installed as well. So this is going to be the borrowing wallet, or I might switch that around. But it's important to understand that there's two MetaMasks. I mean, there's two Ethereum clients that are running simultaneously on this laptop. It's the exact same as if two different laptops were running it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to app.moneymarkets.io. We have been very lucky to secure the domain moneymarkets.io for this particular protocol. And to access directly the application, you'll be going to apps.moneymarkets.io. You click enter. And again, I'm clicking enter with the first browser, and automatically what you see is that it's a request that my MetaMask has pulled to connect my account 1 to the GX markets. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to touch anything. Since this is a decentralized wallet protocol, it is asking me permission. Do I give authorization for MetaMask to connect with the GX markets? I am going to do so. Clicking connect, now the transaction is finishing up and it is going to load up the GX markets here. As that's taking place in my first browser, I'm going to go to my second browser and do the exact same thing. I'm going to connect to app.moneymarkets.com, and automatically, this one I have already given the authorization to, and it connected immediately to the Money Markets application. And this wallet address that you see right here is my wallet. As you see, I didn't have to sign in, log in, sign up, do anything. It's connecting directly to my Ethereum wallet. And if you can want to just double check that, that's 0x86. 0x86. So we know we're synced up there. Now we're just waiting for this one to get synced up, and forgive me if the internet is kind of slow. While that's taking place, let's go and examine what we see here on the home page. So if this is your first time visiting, you're not going to see the supplying or borrowing amount. That's only because I've already supplied and borrowed, and so you'll see that information here for me. What you will see, however, is a supply balance that's denominating how much US dollars worth of cryptocurrency I've put in to the money market. So I have $2.3 inside of the money market, and how much is my borrow balance? In this case, I've already borrowed almost half the value of that, $1.04 in some other cryptocurrency. So if you're the first time using this, it'll say 0 and 0 for you. My borrowing power that's remaining is a whole 11 cents, because as you can imagine, I only have $2.3 of supply. I took out $1.04, and now I have 11 cents left, 50% ratio. And so that up there is your first three tabs. That's going to give you an understanding of what your position is, what's your liquidity position within the markets. If you have borrowed something, you will see what assets you've borrowed here, and you'll see what assets you've supplied here, and you'll see what assets you borrowed here. In this case, I have supplied BAT. I'm earning 0.57% interest on my BAT, and I am borrowing I've supplied OX and I have 0x, and I have borrowing BAT, and you can see the interest rate is that on the BAT. Down here, you can see all of the tokens that are currently supported by the money markets. There's GXT, there's BAT, there's DAI, there's Augur, there's USDC, there's Ethereum, wrapped Ethereum. I'll give you an example of what that means. And then there's there's 0x. And what's interesting here is that you can see the market size for each of these applications. You can actually see that there's 0 GXT that's supplied. So there's no GXT liquidity in the money markets. There's 73 BAT that's supplied, and you can see the supply APR, meaning if you were to lend BAT to the money markets, which Let's click to page. So if you were to lend that to the money markets based on the current algorithm, you're going to get 0.57% interest. If you need to borrow that, you're going to pay 8.4% interest. DAI is there. There's no DAI. There's no Augur. There's no USDC. There is some Ethereum, however. There's a very minute amount of Ethereum because I've supplied and taken it out. And you can see that to borrow that small amount of Ethereum, how much you're going to have to pay is 5% per annum. There is 50 0x coins in there, and you can see that there's supplying versus borrowing. There's no demand for 0x because no one's requested to borrow that. So that is the coins. More coins coming soon. We're also putting in a feature where anyone can request to add their own coins, and using a smart contract, we will be able to add them algorithmically, which is really interesting. But that's the makeup. That is the basic makeup of this dashboard. Really exciting. Now let's go back to this browser where you can see this first browser I was on, where you can see a different schema. It's the same page, but you can see here that I'm supplying the BAT that is being borrowed. And I'm supplying the BAT that's not being borrowed. That's why there's no interest rate for BAT, because no one wants it at this point. But I have $13 in supply balance. I haven't borrowed anything. I borrowed nothing. And so I have $6.83 in borrowing power I could choose to borrow. So that gives you an idea of how these two would interact with each other. This account, this gentleman is supplying BAT. He has supplied 73 BAT. This gentleman is borrowing BAT. And I'm going to go into how the BAT was borrowed and everything like that. But you can see down here, this gentleman has borrowed 6 BAT out of the 70. Here you can check. He's borrowed 6 BAT out of the 79 BAT that was supplied by this gentleman. So that's the live transaction that took place. And now I'm going to go ahead and make one from scratch. So connected to my MetaMask, I have how much WETH? Let it load. I have 0.06 WETH, I have another 1 BAT, and I have some Ethereum. So let's supply some Ethereum. Click Ether. To give you guys a little bit of understanding why it says wrapped Ether. So you can't directly supply or use Ethereum in any smart contract application, because all smart contract applications are based on Ethereum. And so in order to use Ethereum within an ERC20 framework, you need to convert the actual mainnet Ether token into something called wrapped Ethereum, WETH, which will then hold your ETH and give you an equivalent. We call it WETH. It's wrapped Ethereum, which is a 1-to-1 ratio, and that wrapped Ethereum mirrors Ethereum completely and is actually what you can use in any decentralized exchange, any smart contract protocol. We've built in the ability to get wrapped Ethereum directly into the app. So if you want to wrap Ethereum, it's very simple. Other applications don't have this built in. You have to go get it from a DEX itself, but we've built it in here. So let's say I want to wrap. I have 0.05 Ether, so I'm going to wrap 0.04. I type in 0.04. Oh, first I should enable my Ethereum. Enabling the Ethereum, as you can see, is going to pull up MetaMask and is going to ask me, do I authorize that the Ethereum is enabled? I will say sure, and I will click confirm. That will then post to the blockchain. You're going to see this little loading toggle, and you have to wait until that's enabled in order for you to be able to transact in it. I'm going to go back here actually in the meantime and see if Ethereum is enabled here. It is. Perfect. Oh, no, I have to enable it again. No problem. Click enable. Click save. Click confirm. And now that's enabling in the second browser and as well as in the first browser. Once it is enabled, we will swap it for some wrapped Ethereum, and then we will use that wrapped Ethereum from the first. Perfect. It's transaction confirmed. Now I will use this wrapped Ethereum. Once I get the wrapped Ethereum, I'll use it to supply it into the market. So like I showed you here, guys, I have 0.05 Ether. I'm going to wrap 0.04. 0.04, click wrap. Going to load up my MetaMask again. That's going to be wrapping about $8.79. Increase the transaction speed for the sake of the video. And now we have wrapped Ether. It's wrapping right there. It's posting to the blockchain as well it is wrapping. Let's see what's happening over here. Perfect. We've already wrapped. Actually, here we can wrap some more Ether as well. So, actually, let's wait for this to complete wrapping. And here we're going to borrow some Ether. How much Ether do we have here? We have 0.11, so I'm going to wrap 0.10. So let that wrap. Here we go. Success. You've successfully wrapped 0.04 Ether. If we go back to the MetaMask, you're going to see that I no longer have 0.05 because I no longer have my ETH. But if I click here, I will have my new WETH, which is I have 0.1 WETH, almost $18 worth of WETH now I have in total. So I can use that to interact in anything. Of course, WETH and ETH are the same price, price realization. Here, I've successfully wrapped the 0.10 Ether. So what I'm going to do from this one is supply, right? So I'll go here. I can just show you guys again. No more Ether or very little amount, but lots of WETH, almost $29 worth of WETH, 0.17. I also had some WETH before. That's where that balance comes from. By the way, you can see that I have my 0x, my BAT, all in there, which I got from the money market. So I'm going to supply how much Ether. It's going to tell me, because it's connected to my MetaMask, how much WETH I have in my wallet. I have 0.17 WETH. Fantastic. I'm going to supply almost all of it. I'm going to supply 0.15 WETH. Total supply value at this point is $25. Click supply. Of course, it's going to engage my MetaMask again. Click edit, make it fast, save, confirm. And now I am supplying that much Ether. You're going to see, once this is the key part, once this transaction is done and once the Ethereum network confirms it, my supply balance is going to go from $2 to 2 plus $25, and my borrowing balance is still going to remain at $1, but my borrowing power is going to go through the roof because now I've supplied more. Meanwhile, over here, I'm going to wait because my goal is to leverage some of this borrowing power I have to actually borrow the Ether that account is setting up. Oh, perfect. And there we go. Supply balance, a little refresh. Supply balance, $27. Borrowing balance, still $1. Now I have an additional $12 of borrowing power. If you want to see how that looks, you can just go to MetaMask and you can see exactly how the fund contract works. You can see it on the Etherscan. All of this is obviously built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. It's quite remarkable how effectively it works. So now let's go back to the markets. I've supplied wrapped ETH. I've supplied 0x. I've taken out some BAT. And just because I want to show you guys, I'll come back to that. I was going to pay back the BAT that I borrowed because it's just hanging out in my wallet right now. Yep, my 6 BAT. I'll pay with that back with interest. Go here. Go back to this. I'm still at normal supply, normal balance, but I can see that, look at, there's much more market liquidity within Ethereum because the other account just supplied it. So now I'm back here. Let's borrow some ETH. There's a total 0.23 ETH in the system. I can borrow up to $6 worth of that. I'm going to do so. Now, this is the important part. This is the borrowing part. This account, remember, it's WETH. This account has 0.1 WETH, okay? Before it, without any intermediary, without any need for a loan application, without anything, I am going to leverage my crypto and take out more Ethereum into a decentralized wallet that I can do really whatever I want with. I have a safe, so it's telling me I can borrow 0.046 Ether, which is 50%, but we've also built in the function of a safe max, which is about 40%. Remember, if you get to the 50% collateral ratio, you're at the risk of forced liquidation. We try to tell you everyone to stay much lower than that. The safe max is about 40%. So I clicked the safe max. It populated that in there for me. So $6.18. Let's borrow. Perfect. Run MetaMask again. Click edit. Click save. Fast. Confirm. And now it is allowing me to take out the market liquidity, $6 roughly worth of Ethereum. And it's going to appear here in my MetaMask once it's done. So it's going to go from 0.1, which is what I had before, to the new amount. And then that is the complete interaction of how someone supplies, someone borrows, and then I'll do a repay video. I'll do a repay part of this as well, so you can see how it looks like it when it gets repaid and how the interest is calibrated based on the amount of blocks that got stamped in the meantime. Here, if you go to this, what will be interesting to see is you click wrapped ETH, the market liquidity is being changed because someone is pulling out of the market some liquidity at this point. And you might be seeing these numbers fluctuating. It's because obviously the dollar value of these assets continuously change. And so these will always update every 5 minutes, every so often, to give you the more live price feed. Done. Perfect. So now, first thing we're going to notice after the refresh is done is that market liquidity has changed from 0.23 to 0.19 because I took that liquidity out. Other thing you'll notice is that I don't have my $6.30 worth of borrowing power anymore because it's now in my borrowing balance. As you can see, I've supplied the same amount. My borrowing balance has increased. I have less borrowing power. But the great part about this is when you click MetaMask, go to WETH. That is correct. Now I have 0.136 WETH. I have received WETH from the money markets, and this WETH I can do whatever I want. If I want to unwrap it, I can unwrap it right here in the money markets app. How much WETH do I have? 0.136. Let's unwrap. 0.12 unwrap, which means I'm converting it back to Ethereum at a par value, and I can send that off to anywhere. I can send it off to Coinbase, I can send it off to blockchain, I can send it off to cash, US dollars, Japanese yen, doesn't matter. You have now accessed market liquidity in exchange for your long-term crypto holdings. Confirm. And here, under this account, you will see that in live time, the market value had gone changed for the wrapped Ethereum, and I have utilized 15 Ethereum of that has been utilized, collateral factors 2. Everything gets updated for you in live time. All right, perfect. I have unwrapped my WETH back into Ether, and now I have solid Ether that I can send out anywhere else while still leveraging my initial Ether that I wanted out. So if I wanted to now repay this, I would have to repay the WETH amount, click repay, repay all. That's my total borrowed amount. Click repay. Right now, I don't have any more borrowing power, a very limited borrowing power. I would just click repay all and send it back into the money markets. I would get clear. My borrowed balance would go down. It would go back into borrowing power. The interest would get exchanged, and the transaction would then close. Market liquidity would remain to what it was before this occurred. Now, this is just a simple transaction. There are many, many variances, nuances to how this works, and there's lots of complexities to things like forced liquidation and collateralization differentiation. We will make videos explaining all of that. There's already the white paper that's been released on the GX markets. This is the actual end-facing client that people will engage with, but we will build out the GX markets in our mobile app, into our exchange, into all forms of different apps. We'll open it up so other developers can use it, and there are some extraordinarily exciting things coming down the pipeline on how we're going to take this ability to create real-time interest rates for crypto and allow you to leverage it and deploy it within everyday use cases for you guys. So hope you enjoyed that. If it was your first time learning about this, I can imagine that it's kind of confusing, but really what just took place here is so powerful. A peer-to-peer lending pool. It's functioning like a treasury. It's functioning like a bank, except nobody except yourself was involved, and the counterparty that you're dealing with. The risk is almost zero because of the way that the collateralization is set up. So hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.